A very common question I get, and I've got it ever since I've been making videos, and I finally have time to make that video, is this: do we replant trees? So it monsooned on us the last 2 days. So everything is wet everywhere. There's flooding all over Michigan. So it gave me an opportunity to finally make this video. I've had a lot of people ask this question. I got people that don't watch the channel ask me this question and they hear about what I do. So this is a perfect opportunity to show you a couple jobs, 2 or 3, we'll see how it goes, on what they look like after we're done. Now, what we normally show is us in the process of harvesting the timber. So a lot of the video I get, it's like barren wasteland. And on this job, the jobs that I'm on right now, is 3 years old in March. So we cut it 3 years ago in March. Frost law job. We cut a job down the road over there, the job next door there. So you get to see what what it looks like 3 years later. And this job was kind of interesting. I pulled in, over here is where the trucks pulled in. They pulled ahead here and backed up. And the chipper sat right here. The slasher sat right there. The logs got stacked over there. Now somebody's pulled some brush in and are dumping off little piles of brush all over, which is, it's fine. But, so the trucks are back in here, get loaded, and all the wood come filtered through right here. And a lot of people ask what we do with our bark, and there was a big hole right here. There's still a hole there. So we pushed our bark into this hole, and I'll walk over here and show you just a little bit of the regrowth that we got going on. 3 years, and there was just a little hole right here. So a lot of people ask, every job's different, but there was a big hole. We just pushed the bark in here and it's done with. But look at that regrowth on the other side. That's what amazes me. 3 years. And it's looking really good. I mean, really good. Those trees are nice trees in here. Nice trees. If you just look at all the regrowth in here, it's beautiful. We don't replant any of it. None of this has been planted. All of it grows up on its own. That one there is over 20 foot tall. I mean, it's just beautiful what's going on with this regrowth. We don't replant nothing of it. Those were all suckers that come up out of the roots of the aspen trees here. Now, once you get into here, obviously you got some maple here, and you got a maple stump in there, and those are all sprouted out of that maple stump. So we cut the aspen and the maple on this job and left the oak standing. So that's why you got all your oak. But the regrowth on this job is just beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, they grow right out of the roots off the aspen trees. The maple that we cut here will grow out of the stumps, and that's just what it looks like. And as you get over into here, these trees have more shade. So once they have more shade, they don't get as good of growth as those over there that get more sunlight. But this will all grow up just beautiful. Just beautiful. So this was that main skid trail. The chipper was set right there. All the wood filtered through here. And this is what it looks like now. That was a main skid trail. That was a main skid trail. And that was a main skid trail. And you just look, and it's all growing up around here. 3 years. And this was all barren, like all the jobs that we normally do. And that's what you're all used to seeing on the videos, is everyone's like, oh my, it's just a barren land. What happens in 3 years, you can't, it just looks beautiful again. But I knew this job would look beautiful when we left it. You got these nice oaks here, just gorgeous looking. Just a beautiful regrowth of trees. You got a maples stump there. See this stump here? Obviously it's a maple stump. You got all these maples growing out of here and there and there. It's just gorgeous. This stuff grows up so fast, it's beautiful. So the job we're on now, we cut the exact same time as the last one. And what happened was this. It was frost laws. And what frost laws means is we can't move our chippers because they're too heavy. So we had the new chipper set up on this job and the old chipper set up on the last job with some equipment there, some equipment here, and we cut them both at the same time. And what happened was is if this one got too muddy or that one got too muddy, we'd bounce back and forth. We didn't really have much mud problems that year. But this is an 80-acre cut we did here. We got just over about 218 or 220 loads off from this job. And there's a big hill in the middle of it, and that's where we set the chipper up at. And all the wood had to come uphill. I remember Paulie, he skid by himself one day and pulled 12 loads of wood himself that we chipped out of here. It was beautiful chipwood. And because of a couple big hills, there's still some trees standing out there that you might see when I flip the drone up. But the regrowth on this just looks spectacular. I mean, just look at that maple and that aspen. And this was a clear cut, so there's some oak out there. We got two, but we didn't even pull the slash one on this job till the very end because it was all nice, beautiful chipwood. So we brought the slasher at the very end because we had some oak and the mill didn't want a lot of oak. So therefore we cut as much firewood out of it as we could and then chipped it. But I mean, there was nothing here 3 years ago. It was a barren wasteland. And here we are now, and you can't see the hill up there that we worked off from. But you can see those patches of wood right there. Boy, it's hard to see with this regrowth so tall. It's beautiful. There's a few way back there, but there's a patch there that was on the side of a hill. But let me tell you what. I mean, it doesn't get any more beautiful than that. And there was a patch right there, and that's all a big drop off right there. And there's some hills in here. And hills mean nice timber. That's a whole nother video maybe. But you get them hills and you get some beautiful timber in those hills. And I mean, yeah. So we cut this, but boy does that ever look. The regrowth on this, I mean everything. If you just look down the trail, there was no grass here before, but you give it just a couple years and it just looks beautiful again. And it's just like anything else. It's just like any other crop. Timber needs to be harvested. I mean, it's gonna die eventually. There's times when timber needs to be harvested. The job we're on right now that we're currently cutting, the aspen needed to be cut right now, and it's a perfect time to cut it. It's starting to get some brown in it, starting to get some rotten logs, it's perfect time to cut it. If you harvest it now, you'll get your most, the most out of it, your saw logs and everything else. The longer you let that grow, the more it dies, the more they fall down. It needs to be harvested, so then you get the regrowth like that. I mean, when you get stuff like this, it's just beautiful. I love to come back and look at a couple jobs, because if we were on this job 3 years ago, you could see all the way to those trees over there in that far corner, and now you can't see nothing. You can't see anything in here, and who knows how many deer and fawns are laying down in there right now, along with everything else. And that's another interesting video, is the animals that live in different types of terrain, different types of timber, the regrowth, the old growth. They don't all hold the same animals. There's so much beautiful stuff out here. I mean, it just doesn't get no more beautiful than that.